The alarm bells rang across the research station Horizon Gate. Commander Jake Morrison ran down the metal hallway, his boots making loud sounds on the floor. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "What do we have?" Jake asked when he reached the control room. The screen showed a strange ship floating in space near their station. It looked old, very old, and covered in symbols nobody could read. Dr. Lisa Brennan stood by the monitors, her face pale. "It just appeared on our sensors an hour ago. The design doesn't match any known species. Jake, this thing could be thousands of years old." Jake studied the ship on the screen. It was dark and silent, like a tomb floating in space. "Send a team. I want to know what's inside." Lisa shook her head. "I don't think that's a good idea. We should call for backup first." But Captain Ryan Hughes stepped forward. "Commander, this could be important technology, maybe even weapons. We need to see what's there before anyone else does." Jake made his decision. "Prepare a team. We go in 2 hours." The boarding party wore heavy suits as they entered the alien ship. Their lights cut through the darkness inside. Everything was silent except for their breathing. The walls had strange writing carved into them, warnings perhaps, but nobody could understand them. "Over here," called one of the soldiers. They found a large chamber in the center of the ship. Inside was a container made of some kind of crystal that glowed with a soft blue light. More symbols covered its surface. Lisa touched her helmet radio. "Jake, I'm reading those symbols now. I think they're warnings. We should leave this alone." But Ryan was already scanning the container. "There's something alive inside. I can read biosigns, strong ones." Jake's voice crackled through their radios. "Can you tell what it is?" "Negative, but whatever it is, it's big." Ryan made his choice. "I'm opening it. Stand back." Lisa shouted, "No, wait!" But it was too late. Ryan pressed a button on the container's surface. The blue light grew brighter and brighter until everyone had to look away. Then it went dark. For a moment, nothing happened. The team stood in silence, weapons ready, waiting. Then it moved. The creature that came out of the container was massive. It stood 12 feet tall, covered in black armor that looked like stone. Blue lines ran across its body, glowing bright like veins of light. Its eyes opened, burning red like fire. It looked at them for 1 second. Then it attacked. The first soldier died before he could scream. The creature moved faster than something that big should move. Its claws tore through the metal suits like paper. 2 more soldiers fell. "Fall back!" Ryan screamed. "Everyone out now!" They ran. Behind them, they could hear the creature breaking through the walls of the alien ship. It was following them back to Horizon Gate. Jake watched from the control room as his team ran for their lives. "Seal the docking bay," he ordered. "Don't let that thing onto the station." But the creature was too fast. It burst through the airlock just before the doors closed. Alarms rang everywhere. People screamed and ran in all directions. "All personnel, this is Commander Morrison," Jake spoke into the station-wide radio. "We have a hostile creature on board. Security teams to Docking Bay 3. Everyone else get to safe rooms and lock the doors." The security teams arrived with their weapons ready. They fired everything they had at the creature. Plasma bolts hit its armor and bounced off. Electromagnetic pulses did nothing. The creature walked through their attacks like they were raindrops. It killed anyone who tried to stop it, then disappeared into the lower levels of the station. Lisa found Jake in the command center. Her hands were shaking. "I translated more of those symbols from the container. Jake, that thing is called a Warbeast. It says here, the weapon that ended the Varn Empire. The Varn were an ancient alien race that disappeared 3,000 years ago. What happened to them? The text doesn't say. But it warns that the Warbeasts cannot be stopped by any weapon. They were made to be perfect killing machines." Jake looked at the monitors showing different parts of the station. 847 people lived and worked on Horizon Gate. They were all trapped here with this creature. "How many people have we lost?" he asked quietly. 15 dead, 6 injured. Jake closed his eyes. "Call Earth Defense. Tell them we need help. Tell them to send everything they have." "What are you going to do?" Lisa asked. "I'm going to find a way to stop this thing before it kills everyone on this station." But deep down, Jake wasn't sure that was possible. The creature had walked through their best weapons without a scratch. It was hunting through Horizon Gate right now, unstoppable and deadly. And somewhere on this station, it was looking for something. Jake just didn't know what. The Warbeast had been sleeping for 3,000 years. Now it was awake, and it was very, very angry. The battlecruiser Valkyrie arrived 3 days later. Captain Ben Hartley brought 200 Marines and enough weapons to fight a small war. Jake met him in the docking bay, away from where the Warbeast had entered the station. "Commander Morrison," Ben said, shaking Jake's hand. "We're here to help. What's the situation?" "Bad," Jake said honestly. "The creature has killed 23 people so far. We've tried everything. Nothing works." Ben smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "You haven't tried my Marines yet. We brought experimental sonic weapons. They can shake apart metal. They'll work on this thing." Jake wanted to believe him. He really did. The Marines moved through the station in teams of 10. They wore the best armor Earth could make. Their sonic weapons hummed with power. Jake watched on the monitors as they searched the lower levels where the Warbeast had last been seen. "Contact!" one team leader shouted over the radio. "We have visual on the target!" The Warbeast stood in a cargo bay surrounded by broken crates. It turned to face the Marines, its red eyes glowing in the dark. "Fire!" the team leader ordered. The sonic weapons hit the creature with waves of sound so powerful they made the air shimmer. The Warbeast stumbled back 1 step, then 2. For a moment, Jake thought it might actually work. Then the creature roared. It was a sound Jake felt in his bones. The sonic weapons cracked and broke in the Marines' hands. The Warbeast charged forward, moving like thunder. The Marines didn't stand a chance. Jake watched in horror as all 10 Marines died in less than a minute. He turned away from the screen, feeling sick. "Pull your teams back," he told Ben. "Pull them back now, before we lose more people." Ben's face was white. "That's impossible. Nothing can adapt to sonic weapons that fast." "It just did," Lisa said from her station. "Look at these readings. Every time we attack it, the creature learns. Its body changes to protect itself. It's getting smarter, stronger." 3 more teams tried to stop the Warbeast over the next 2 days. 3 more teams died. Ben finally admitted defeat. "Commander, we need to evacuate this station and destroy it," Ben said. "It's the only way." "No," Jake said firmly. "There are still over 800 people here. We're not leaving them to die." Lisa had been studying the creature through cameras hidden all over the station. "Jake, come look at this." She showed him recordings of the Warbeast when it wasn't fighting. It moved through the empty corridors slowly, almost carefully. Sometimes it would stop and touch the walls, like it was searching for something. "It's looking for something," Lisa said. "It's not just killing for fun. It only attacks when people try to stop it or trap it." Dr. Megan Foster, who studied alien minds, leaned over Lisa's shoulder. "I think it's in pain. Look at how it moves when it's alone. Those glowing lines on its body, they pulse irregular. Like a heartbeat that's wrong. I think whatever the Varn did to make it a weapon, it hurt the creature. Maybe it's still hurting." "So what do we do?" Jake asked. "We can't talk to it. We can't fight it. How do we help something that kills everyone who gets close?" Nobody had an answer. Engineer Danny Cole came up with a desperate plan. "What if we lure it to the reactor core? We can overload the reactor, create an explosion big enough to destroy anything." "That would destroy half the station too," Jake said. "Better than losing all of it," Danny replied. Jake didn't like it, but he was running out of options. "Do it." They used power generators to create a trail of energy the Warbeast would follow. It worked. The creature moved toward the reactor, drawn by the power. Danny waited inside the reactor room, his hand on the overload controls. Through the camera, Jake watched the Warbeast enter the reactor room. "Now, Danny, do it now!" Danny hit the button. The reactor began to whine, building up to explode, but the Warbeast stopped. Its head tilted, like it was listening to something. Then it turned and ran, moving faster than it ever had before. It smashed through 3 walls and was gone before the reactor overloaded. Danny barely made it out. The explosion destroyed 3 decks and killed 17 people who hadn't evacuated in time. The Warbeast wasn't even scratched. Jake sat in his command chair, his head in his hands. They'd lost 43 people now, almost 50 dead, and they were no closer to stopping the creature than when it first woke up. "Maybe we should evacuate," Lisa said quietly. "Maybe Ben was right." "And go where?" Jake asked. "That thing is faster than our ships. It would follow us. We'd just bring it to another station, another planet." More people would die. Ben Hartley stood by the window, looking out at the stars. "I've fought in 12 battles across 5 star systems. I've never seen anything like this. It's not just a weapon. It's the perfect weapon." In the residential section of the station, a little girl named Sophie Grant sat in her room drawing pictures. Her father Alex had told her to stay inside, that there was danger on the station, but he wouldn't tell her what kind of danger. Sophie was 8 years old. She missed her mother, who had died 2 years ago. Sometimes the station felt very lonely. She spent her time drawing and talking to the station's computer, pretending it was her friend. She didn't know that the most dangerous creature in the galaxy was getting closer to her section every hour. She didn't know that 43 people had already died trying to stop it. All she knew was that her father seemed very scared lately. And Sophie didn't like it when her father was scared. Sophie heard the alarms start ringing in her section of the station. She looked up from her drawing, her crayons scattered across the floor. The alarms were loud and scary. Her father burst through the door, his face covered in sweat. "Sophie, baby, we need to hide, right now." "What's wrong, Daddy?" "No time to explain. Come on!" Alex grabbed her hand and pulled her into the hallway. Other families were running, children crying, people shouting. Sophie had never seen everyone so afraid. Alex found a supply closet and pushed Sophie inside. "Stay here. Don't make any sound. Don't come out until I come back for you." "Daddy, you're scaring me." "I know, baby, I know. But you have to be brave. Can you be brave for me?" He kissed her forehead. "I love you. I'll be right back." Then he was gone, the door closing behind him. Sophie stood in the dark closet, surrounded by cleaning supplies and old equipment. She could still hear the alarms. She could hear people running and screaming. She was very scared. Sophie sat down and hugged her knees. She tried to remember what her mother used to tell her when she was afraid. "When you're scared," her mother would say, "remember that everything that acts mean is usually just scared too. Even big dogs that bark loudly are sometimes just frightened." Her mother had loved animals. She used to work with the research animals in the station's lab. She taught Sophie how to be gentle, how to move slowly, how to talk softly so animals wouldn't be afraid. Sophie missed her mother so much it hurt. Then she heard something outside the closet. Something big was moving in the hallway. Heavy footsteps that made the floor shake. Everyone had stopped screaming. Everything was quiet except for those footsteps. The footsteps stopped outside her closet. Sophie held her breath. She could hear breathing on the other side of the door. Deep, heavy breathing, like something very large. The door exploded off its hinges. Sophie screamed and pressed back against the wall. In the doorway stood the biggest creature she had ever seen. It was huge, covered in black armor with glowing blue lines running across its body. Its eyes were red and bright, staring right at her. This was the danger her father had warned her about. This was why everyone was so afraid. The creature stepped into the closet. It had to bend down to fit. Sophie could see its claws as long as her arms. She could smell it, like hot metal and something else, something old. But then Sophie noticed something. The blue lines on the creature's body weren't glowing steady. They were pulsing fast, irregular, like a heart beating too quick. And the creature's eyes, while red, looked confused, lost. Her mother's words came back to her. Everything that acts mean is usually just scared too. Sophie looked at this huge, terrifying creature, and suddenly she didn't just see a monster. She saw something that was hurting. "It's okay," she whispered. Her voice was shaking, but she kept talking. "You're scared too, aren't you?" The creature's head tilted slightly. It was listening to her. "I get scared sometimes," Sophie continued. "When my mom died, I was scared all the time. Everything seemed big and mean, but my mom taught me that scared things need gentle voices." The creature made a sound, low and rumbling. Not angry, almost sad. Then Sophie heard shouting. Security guards ran into the hallway, their weapons charging with power. She saw her father with them, his face white with terror when he saw her. "Sophie, get down!" someone yelled. But the creature's body tensed. The blue lines turned red, angry. It was going to attack again. It was going to kill all of them, including her father. Sophie didn't think. She just acted. She stepped forward, putting herself between the creature and the guards. She held up one small hand, like her mother used to do with the big research dogs. "Stay," she said. Not loud. Not scared, just calm and certain. The creature froze. Everyone froze. The word hung in the air like magic. The creature stared down at Sophie, this tiny human child with her hand raised. Slowly, the red in its eyes faded a little. The red lines on its body turned back to blue, then to amber, like it was confused. "Sophie, move," her father begged quietly. "Please, baby, come to Daddy." But Sophie kept her hand up. She kept her eyes on the creature. "Stay," she said again, softer. "It's okay. You can stay. Nobody will hurt you." The creature made that sad sound again. Then, slowly, carefully, it sat down. It was still huge, still covered in armor and claws, but it sat down like a dog that had finally found its owner after being lost for a long, long time. Commander Morrison's voice came over the radio. "What's happening?" "Report!" one of the guards whispered into his radio. "Sir, you're not going to believe this. The creature, it's sitting. The little girl, she made it sit." "What?" "She said stay, and it just stopped. It's not moving." Lisa's voice came through. "Keep everyone calm. Don't make any sudden moves. I'm coming there now." Sophie slowly lowered her hand. The creature watched her, its eyes now more gold than red. She could see that it was breathing hard, that those blue lines were still pulsing wrong. "You're sick," Sophie said softly. "You've been sick for a long time, haven't you? That's why you're so angry. That's why you hurt people." The creature's eyes closed for a moment, like it was very, very tired. "My name is Sophie," she said. "What's your name?" The creature made a sound, low and musical. Sophie didn't understand it, but it felt like an answer. It felt like maybe, for the first time since this creature woke up, someone was trying to be its friend instead of its enemy. Behind her, Sophie heard her father crying. She heard people whispering, amazed, but she kept her focus on the creature. "It's okay," she said again. "You can stay." And the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy stayed. Hours passed. Sophie sat on the floor with the creature still sitting in front of her. Nobody moved. Security guards stood with their weapons ready but not aimed. Dr. Lisa Brennan had arrived and was recording everything from a safe distance. Jake Morrison stood beside Alex Grant, both men watching the impossible scene before them. "I should pull her out of there," Alex whispered. "That thing killed 43 people." If you try to take her away, it might attack again, Lisa said quietly. Look at its body language. It's focused completely on Sophie. She's the only thing keeping it calm. Sophie was talking to the creature. Just simple things, like what her favorite color was, what games she liked to play, stories about her mother. The creature listened to every word, its eyes never leaving her face. You're hurting, aren't you? Sophie asked. It's not just being angry. Something hurts inside you. The creature made that low, sad sound again. Lisa stepped closer slowly. Sophie, honey, can you ask it where it hurts? Sophie looked at the scientist, then back at the creature. The lady wants to help. She's a doctor. Can you show us where you hurt? The creature lifted one massive claw and touched its chest, right where a heart would be. The blue lines there pulsed wild and wrong. Its biology is all wrong, Lisa said, studying her scanner. These modifications were meant to make it a weapon, but they're tearing it apart from inside. The pain must be constant. Imagine living in agony every second for 3,000 years. 3,000 years? Alex asked. That's how long it was in that container. Awake, aware, trapped in a box, unable to move, unable to die, just hurting. Lisa's voice was thick with emotion. No wonder it was so violent when it woke up. Dr. Megan Foster arrived and carefully approached. She studied the creature for a long time. Sophie, can you ask it what it wants? What was it looking for on the station? Sophie thought about it. What do you want? She asked the creature gently. The creature's eyes closed. It made a long, musical sound that was full of sadness. It sounded like a song, but a sad one. I think, Megan said slowly, it was looking for the end, peace, release from the pain. It wanted to die. Sophie's eyes filled with tears. That's so sad. The creature opened its eyes and looked at Sophie. For the first time, there was something like surprise in its expression. You know, Sophie said, reaching out very slowly, my mom felt like that too near the end, when she was sick. She hurt so much. But then she told me that even when things hurt, there can still be good things, like holding hands, like someone singing to you, like not being alone. She touched the creature's claw. It was warm and rough like stone, but it didn't pull away. You don't have to be alone anymore, Sophie said. Over the next day, Lisa worked with Sophie to create simple communication. The creature couldn't speak human words, but it could make different sounds. One sound for yes, another for no. Slowly, carefully, they began to understand each other. They learned that the creature was called something that meant storm's end in the ancient Varn language. It had been a guardian once, long ago. Its kind had protected the Varn people, bonded to them like family. But then the Varn wanted more. They wanted weapons. They took the guardians and changed them, hurt them, twisted their bodies and minds until they became war beasts, perfect killing machines that felt nothing but rage and pain. Storm's End had been the first one changed. It remembered what it had been before. It remembered being gentle, being loved. That made the pain worse. What happened to the Varn? Jake asked through Lisa's radio. Sophie listened as Storm's End made a series of sounds. Lisa translated from her scanner. The Warbeasts rebelled, but not through violence. They simply refused to fight anymore. They let themselves be destroyed rather than be weapons. Without their Warbeasts, the Varn Empire fell to their enemies. Storm's End is the last one, Megan added, the last of its kind. Alone for 3,000 years. Sophie hugged the creature's massive arm. You're not alone now. But then reality came crashing back. A message arrived from Earth Defense Coalition Command. They wanted Storm's End destroyed immediately while it was docile. They saw it as too dangerous to live. Jake called a meeting. Sophie refused to leave Storm's End, so they held the meeting right there in the hallway. Command wants it dead, Captain Ben said. And maybe they're right. It's killed too many people. It killed people who were trying to hurt it, Sophie said firmly. If someone attacked you, you'd fight back too. Sophie's right, Lisa added. Every attack happened because we attacked first, or tried to trap it. When left alone, it didn't hunt people. It was searching for something, and now we know it was searching for peace. But can we trust it? Alex asked. Can we trust that it won't turn violent again? Can it trust us? Sophie shot back. The Varn people betrayed it, hurt it. Why should it trust humans to be any better? Jake looked at Storm's End. The creature looked back at him with those strange eyes, no longer red, now a deep gold color. There was intelligence there, understanding. If we kill it, Jake said slowly, we prove we're no better than the Varn. We prove that humans will destroy anything we fear, even if it's begging for mercy. And if we don't kill it, and it goes violent again? Ben challenged. Sophie stood up. Then I'll stop it, just like I did before. Sophie, you can't, Alex started. Yes, I can. Storm's End listens to me. Not because I'm strong or because I have weapons. Because I'm not trying to hurt it. I'm the first person in 3,000 years who tried to be its friend. Storm's End made a sound, gentle and agreeing. Lisa pulled up her research on a screen. I think I can help it. Human gene therapy has advanced a lot. If Storm's End will let me, I can try to reverse some of the modifications the Varn made. I can't fix everything, but I might be able to stop the pain. How? Jake asked. Surgery. Deep surgery at the genetic level, but Storm's End would have to be sedated, completely vulnerable. It would have to trust us absolutely. Everyone looked at the creature. It looked back, understanding what was being asked. Then it looked at Sophie. Sophie took a deep breath. I'll stay with you, she promised. The whole time. You won't be alone. Storm's End closed its eyes and made a sound. Yes. The medical bay had been cleared and reinforced. Dr. Lisa Brennan and her team worked for 2 days straight, preparing for the procedure. They had never done genetic surgery on an alien species before, especially not one that had been modified 3,000 years ago. If this goes wrong, Lisa said to Jake, if Storm's End wakes up during the procedure and feels threatened, I know, Jake said, we'll all die. But if we don't try, it lives in pain forever. What kind of people would that make us? Sophie stayed by Storm's End's side the whole time. She talked to the creature, told it stories, sang songs her mother used to sing to her. Alex brought her meals and blankets, but Sophie refused to leave. You have to trust them, Sophie told Storm's End. I know trust is hard. The Varn people broke your trust, but these people are different. My mom was a doctor, too. She helped things that were hurting. That's what doctors do. Storm's End listened. Sometimes it would make soft sounds like it was trying to talk back. Sophie would answer even though she didn't always understand. It didn't matter. Storm's End just needed to know someone was there. When the day came for the surgery, Storm's End walked into the medical bay on its own. It lay down on the reinforced table they had built. Lisa approached with the sedative, a huge dose that would put the creature into deep sleep. This will make you sleep, Sophie explained. When you wake up, the pain will be less. I promise. Storm's End looked at her for a long moment. Then it made the sound for yes and closed its eyes. Lisa administered the sedative. Storm's End's breathing slowed. The blue lines on its body dimmed. For the first time since it woke up, the creature was completely defenseless. Sophie, Alex said gently, you should go rest now. No, I promised I'd stay. So Sophie sat in a chair next to the table, holding Storm's End's claw, while Lisa and her team worked. The surgery took 3 days. 3 days of careful, precise work, trying to undo damage that was older than human civilization. Sophie talked the whole time. She told Storm's End about Earth, about oceans and mountains and forests. She told it about her school, her friends, her favorite books. She told it about her mother, about the day she died, about how much it hurt. "But the hurt gets smaller," Sophie said quietly. "It never goes away completely, but it gets smaller. And you learn that the good memories are bigger than the hurt. I think you had good memories too from before. Maybe we can make new good memories together." On the third day, Lisa stepped back from the table. She looked exhausted, but hopeful. "It's done. I've reversed about 30% of the modifications. The pain should be much less, but we won't know if it worked until Storm's End wakes up." They didn't have to wait long. An hour later, Storm's End's eyes opened. Sophie leaned forward. "Hey, how do you feel?" Storm's End was quiet for a long moment. Then it made a sound, clear and strong. Not pain, not sadness, something like wonder. Over the next week, everyone watched as Storm's End changed. The harsh black armor on its body began to soften, becoming more like scales than stone. The blue lines that had pulsed so wrong began to glow steady and calm. Its eyes shifted from red to gold to a deep, peaceful blue. "The modifications were fighting against its natural biology," Lisa explained. "Now that we've removed some of them, its body is trying to return to what it should have been." But more than its body changed. Storm's End began to show personality. It would make different sounds for different people. It learned to understand human words, even if it couldn't speak them. It followed Sophie everywhere, gentle and protective. Sophie taught Storm's End about human things. Games, music, laughter. She showed it how to be gentle with small things, how to move carefully so it wouldn't scare people. Storm's End learned quickly, like it was remembering how to be what it had been before the Varn broke it. One day, using a computer program Lisa had designed, Storm's End told them the full story of the Varn Empire's fall. The Warbeasts had been used to conquer other worlds, to destroy anyone who opposed the Varn. But the creatures remembered what they had been before: guardians, protectors, not destroyers. So they made a choice. They stopped fighting. When sent into battle, they would simply stand still and let themselves be killed. One by one, the Warbeasts chose death over being weapons. The Varn tried to make more, but it took too long. Without their Warbeasts, they were vulnerable. The species they had conquered rose up. The Varn Empire fell in a single generation. Storm's End had been put in the container as punishment, forced to watch the Empire fall through a window in the ship. Then the ship had drifted in space for 3,000 years, Storm's End aware every moment, until the humans found it. "I'm sorry," Sophie said, crying. "I'm sorry that happened to you." Storm's End touched her head gently with one claw, careful not to hurt her. Then Earth Defense Coalition made their final decision. They had debated for weeks. Some wanted Storm's End destroyed. Some wanted it studied. Some wanted it locked away forever. Sophie was asked to speak to the council. Her speech was broadcast across all human space. Millions of people watched as an 8-year-old girl stood before the most powerful people in Earth's government. "My mom used to say that you can tell what kind of person someone is by how they treat things that can't fight back," Sophie said. "Storm's End is gentle now. It's not trying to hurt anyone. If we hurt it anyway, just because we're scared of what it used to be, what does that make us?" She looked at the council members. The Varn people turned guardians into weapons. They broke something beautiful and made it into something terrible. We can be different. We can be the people who fix things instead of breaking them. We can be the people who heal. The vote was close, but in the end, humanity chose compassion. Storm's End was granted asylum on Horizon Gate. It would live there, with Sophie as its official liaison. More than that, Lisa had found evidence of other containers in the galaxy, other war beasts that might still be in stasis. Humanity would lead the effort to find them, wake them, and heal them. 6 months later, Sophie stood in the docking bay with Storm's End beside her. A new container had been found, brought carefully to the station. Another Warbeast was inside, suffering just like Storm's End had suffered. "Are you ready?" Sophie asked Storm's End. The creature made a sound. Yes. It was ready to help one of its own kind, to save someone else from the pain it had endured. Jake Morrison stood nearby, watching. "You know," he said to Lisa, 6 months ago I would have said the deadliest thing in the universe was that Warbeast. Now I think the deadliest thing is underestimating the power of kindness." The new container opened. Another Warbeast emerged, confused and angry and hurting. It roared, ready to attack, but Sophie stepped forward, calm and unafraid. Storm's End stood beside her, making gentle sounds to its brother or sister. Sophie raised her hand, just like she had done months ago. "It's okay," she said softly. "You're safe now. You don't have to be a weapon anymore. You can stay." The new Warbeast looked at this small human child, at the other Warbeast, who was somehow calm and at peace, and confusion filled its eyes. "Stay," Sophie said again, and smiled. "Please, stay. Let us help you." And slowly, just like Storm's End had done, the Warbeast sat down. Across the galaxy, in the cold dark between stars, there were more containers, more Warbeasts sleeping in pain, waiting for someone to find them. Waiting for someone to show them that not all species were like the Varn. Humanity had found its purpose, not as conquerors, not as warriors, but as healers, as friends to the broken and the lost. And it all started because one little girl saw something everyone else missed. She saw that even the most dangerous weapon in the universe just needed someone to say one simple word: stay.